Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how I set up and grow a plant like this into a large, beautiful plant like this. So let's check it out. I have these two beauties which I'll be putting on vertical support systems, one on a moss pole, the other one on a wood plank. This one is the Epiprenum pinnatum elbow. This one is the Bali Hanneman. Now the whole goal of putting them on vertical support systems is to get larger leaves like the one I just showed. This is just my preference and I'll explain why, but I prefer to use smaller cuttings like this instead of putting a larger, more mature plant like this one. So it just has a thicker stem, so I'll explain a little bit more about that as well. I'm also really excited to show and put it to the test two things that I designed and then printed them with my 3D printer. This is a little support system for a wood plank. So the wood plank slides into the grooves like that. This one right here, I designed it so there is a cutout or a groove that will accept the moss pole like this, and it slides all the way down like that. And now when you put it in a pot, it has a circular base, which is sized for a 4-inch terracotta pot. It fits in like that. So when you put soil on top of it, it's not going to be all shaky and wobbly. So it just adds a little bit more extra support. And what I'm trying to eliminate with this larger one is the movement. So you can see it's quite wobbly and unsteady. So hopefully this new support system, once soil is on top, it'll kind of pack down and it won't be as shaky and it'll be much more supported down the road. I'm just going to quickly show some of the other ones that I have here. So this is my Marble Queen over there. It's on a wood plank. Here's another Marble Queen right here. The leaf is still sizing up. This one is a, ooh, look at that. It's a Hawaiian pothos, or a golden pothos, I guess. This one, like I was showing earlier, this is the Epiprenum pinnatum. I think it's just a regular green one. And then this one over here is my Cebu blue. You can see it's getting some nice fenestrations. And then this one is the Baltic blue, Epiprenum pinnatum. Here's the Mandula, the regular one. Here's another green variety. So yeah, everything's looking really, really green and luscious, and they're getting larger. So I absolutely love this little plant wall area here. It's turning out to be really, really nice. I like how everything is coming in nice and green and with absolutely gorgeous leaves. I can't get over this one right here. This one is stunning. That is beautiful. Both of the smaller plants had one leaf when I purchased them. I let it grow out and now this one is working on its 4th leaf. So this is kind of a good time to place it on a vertical support. This one here was basically had the top chopped, so this was a mid cut. So generally they take a little bit more time than a top cut like this one. You can see it's getting a nice, beautiful, variegated leaf there. So the reason why I like to use smaller cuttings compared to larger, thicker stems like this is because generally the aerial roots on these smaller plants, they attach quicker to a wood plank. So they're not as like hard and crusted over. I don't know if you can see it. They're usually fairly small, and the new ones, they come out almost white and then they develop this kind of like crusty outer coating, which takes it a little bit longer to attach to a moss pole or a wood plank. But it's nice when they have those bright white aerial roots. Those will latch on very quickly, and I find it's pretty common on these smaller ones. With this one here, you can see these larger aerial roots, and you can see they kind of got like almost like a bark on them. They take a little bit more time and I guess moisture in order to entice those roots to start growing out and latching on. So this one right here, these are two separate plants. So here's just one long stem. This one would be perfect as well to put on a plank. It's got some nice young leaves. It's getting vigorous growth. And yeah, this one would be a better choice and then something long and gangly like this. Because the smaller cuttings latch onto planks and moss poles quicker, I find their leaves size up much faster than larger cuttings when you first start out. So this one you can see, this is the Mandula olivia. You can see some of the original leaves, they're just absolutely tiny. And within the matter of like 4 or 5 leaves, you can start to see the upsizing of the leaves, and they just keep getting larger as it grows taller. And down near the soil, where the plant was fairly new, you can see how thin the stem is, and as it grows, it quickly thickens up as well. And you can see all those nice white aerial roots, like right there. These are the ones I'm talking about. They grow into the moss and attach to wood planks very, very easily. So it's sensing some moisture and it's sending out those white aerial roots. This is the lemon meringue pothos right here. This little white nub, that is exactly what will latch on to the wood plank really quick, that white juicy aerial root. So that is a perfect example of what you want to look for when putting a small cutting on a wood plank. Now this one I recently put on this wood plank, I would say probably about a month or so ago, and it's got this beautiful new leaf, and I think it also put this one out when I first got it. So I think the original 3 leaves here, and it's put out 2 in the last little while here. So yeah, that's why they're so easy to get to latch onto these wood planks. I am both equally curious as well as a little bit scared to take these plants out of the pot just because of the root system. Now I will be placing both of these plants in the small 4-inch terracotta. I think I'll be putting the Bali Hanneman on the moss pole, and then I'll be putting the elbow on the wood plank here. So I'm just going to squeeze the pot. I'm really hoping there's more roots than just like 1 strand. Oh, it is 1 strand, and she's a little dry. I was going to water it today, but then I thought I better hold off. So I've been having to water these small pots quite a bit, but not the greatest root system. So that's why I'm going to be putting this one on the moss pole. At least it can hopefully grow roots into the moss quickly, and then yeah, it can also work on growing a root system. I'm just going to remove the smallest last leaf. I'm just going to pluck that off. And the way I'm going to set this up is I'm first going to just size it up with the moss pole in the pot, and then roughly where I want the plant. Now I'm going to take a plant of Velcro and just cinch that right up against the moist moss. And just a closer look here. So you want to make sure those aerial roots are in direct contact with the moss, and you can see just those puny little roots. A little worried about that. Hopefully those aerial roots will grow into the moss. Just mixed in a bit of the old soil here as well. So I'm just going to be using this aeroid mix. This is the VeryPlants aeroid mix. There is a discount code in the description of the video if you want to go check it out. And now I'm just going to dump all the soil in there like that. Use my pencil to kind of poke it down. I'm just going to use my hand here and just dump it in like that. And then I'm going to immediately take it over to my bathroom and give it some water, as I don't want those dry roots to dry out anymore. It's also going to help settle the little support system. So look at that. This thing, once it's watered in, that is not going anywhere. So I'm super happy with the moss pole support. So I'm just going to dump it in like that and give it some water. Now I'm just going to repeat the process with this one. Again, a little worried. Please be more. Oh yeah, this is a bit more of a root system that I was hoping to see on the other one. So a little more substance there. Let's see, I'm going to take this leaf off here. So this is a single leaf node. So someone has cut these 2 ends. There is a node right there, and it pushed out a growth point right there. And then same thing with my wood plank. I'm just going to put it right in the pot like that. This one is a little less stable. And then I'm going to take my cutting. I'm going to find the back of the plant. So you can see right back here, there's a little aerial root popping through. This one might be a little bit more difficult. I might have to just place some soil in first, and then I will add the cutting in afterwards. I'm going to put a little bit at the bottom here first, and then put the support right on top like that. Crush it down. Something like that. I'm going to put all those roots in there, and then I'm going to put it like that. Maybe I will add the support just lower. Even if you don't get it like perfectly straight, or the back perfectly on the plank, over time the plant will it'll correct itself, and I've seen some actually twist completely around. So Just going to make sure those roots are underneath the soil, and then I'm just going to cover it up, and then again, give it a good thorough watering. I cleaned off the leaves, gave them a good thorough soaking. Now I should mention a couple things with the little boot thing here. I'm gonna have to make it a little bit shorter. I might make it just slightly above the soil line for next time. Now, for those saying that, you know, this will be good for protecting the plank over time, I agree with that. It will protect it to an extent, but as you can see, it does have some little grooves down there where if I, you know, spray down the plant and the plank, then some water is going to get in there. So definitely there's going to be some rot. I don't think there's really any way around it. I have charred the end of a plank. You know, you can add things like, I don't know, Flex Seal, but I don't know about how the chemicals, if they get leached into the soil or anything like that. But overall, like, I really haven't had any problems with wood planks. I think they probably last close to 2 years for me. Some of these have been in for quite some time, and you know, they get a little bit soft, but it's pretty rare that I've had them, you know, completely rot and fall over. I've only had one plant fall over, but I'm not worried about rotting planks. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one holds up over time, if it helps with rot or you know, that sort of thing. And that's the fun thing about designing and making things for plants like this with my 3D printers, just to see how your plants adapt, how it changes your plant care and that sort of thing. But overall, I'm really happy with the support systems for both the plank and the moss pole. I'm absolutely horrible at keeping track of how long I've had plants like this one. I don't remember when I got it or when I put it on a moss pole. What I should do is just add like a little piece of tape with the date of when it was planted and, you know, maybe little growth markings. Should make something like what you do with your kids on the door frame, just a little marking of their little growth spurts and that sort of thing. I should design something like that. I just have a bunch of ideas floating through my my brain all the time. I honestly don't remember how long I've had this one, but for these guys, I probably wouldn't expect any major growth for the next few months, as they're probably going to be working on establishing a root system in order to sustain or to produce new leaves, especially larger ones. So it might be a couple months before I see a new leaf with these ones. That's the thing with houseplants, even under ideal conditions, light being the most important. You just want to make sure they're in a bright area, but they still take time to grow. So that's definitely one thing that the plants have taught me over the years is patience. And when you're not seeing things happen above the soil, most of the action is below the soil with the root system. Most likely they're growing the roots to establish or to sustain new growth for the plant. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. I appreciate all the support, and I thank you for watching all my videos. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. Oh, forgot my pencil. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye.